It was a regular school bus trip through the winding roads of Haiti, filled with chatter and laughter from the students heading home. The sun was setting, painting the sky with an eerie orange glow as the bus made its way through narrow paths far away from the busy towns. The driver, Mr. Alphonse, was a quiet man, used to these roads, but tonight something felt off. The air was thick, and the trees along the path seemed to whisper in the wind. The bus was halfway through its journey when it suddenly broke down. Mr. Alphonse tried the engine several times, but nothing worked. He cursed under his breath and looked around. There was nothing but a dense forest and a dirt road leading into a small, unknown village in the distance. The students began to panic, some wanting to get out and find help, others too scared to move. But there was no signal on their phones. The village, if it even was a village, was isolated from the world. After some hesitation, Alphonse decided they had no choice but to walk toward the village. The students grabbed their backpacks and began to follow the driver. But the moment they stepped off the bus, a chill ran through the air. The path to the village was long, dark, and eerily silent. There were no sounds of animals, no birds in the sky, just the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. As they entered the village, the atmosphere grew heavier. The small, crumbling houses looked abandoned, yet there was something unsettlingly alive about the place. The doors to the homes were all open, swinging slightly in the breeze, but there was no sign of any people. The streets were empty, and the only light came from a dim, flickering lantern at the far end of the village. The students, now terrified, huddled together, but their unease was nothing compared to what came next. From the shadows, they began to hear whispers, soft voices calling their names. One by one, they turned to face the darkness, but there was no one there. As the whispers grew louder, the temperature dropped, and strange shapes began to appear in the corners of their vision. Faces in the windows, figures moving in the alleys, all of them too quick to be real. A scream echoed through the night as one of the students, a girl named Claire, was dragged into the woods by unseen hands. The others rushed to help, but when they reached the spot, there was no trace of her. Just the eerie sound of something breathing in the dark. It was as if the village itself had come alive with evil. The night grew darker, and the students were slowly picked off one by one, dragged into the shadows, their screams silenced by the cold, malevolent force lurking in the village. It wasn't just the village that was haunted. It was the very ground beneath them. The earth seemed to swallow the missing students whole, leaving behind only the stench of decay and the cold grip of fear. Mr. Alphonse, desperate to save the others, tried to lead them back to the bus, but it was as if the village itself had changed. The path they had walked on earlier now led them deeper into the nightmare. The once familiar dirt road twisted and turned, as though mocking their attempts to escape. The moon hung high above, casting an unnatural glow, and the wind carried the sound of something distant, something ancient, like the village had been waiting for them. As the night dragged on, only two survivors remained. A boy named Jeremy and his friend, Sarah, clung to each other as they stumbled through the village, their hearts racing with terror. The whispers had stopped, but the evil was still there, lurking in the shadows. They could feel eyes watching them, but every time they turned, there was nothing. The last thing they remembered was running toward the bus, but as they reached it, the door slammed shut on its own, trapping them inside. The village was gone. No sign of the houses, the streets, or the cursed land they had walked through. The only thing left was the eerie silence. Jeremy and Sarah were the only ones who made it out, but when they were found days later, they had lost everything. Their minds, their memories, and even their will to speak. They could never explain what had happened in that village. All they said in broken whispers was this: the village, it took them, and it will come for you too. And to this day, no one knows the name of that village or if it was ever real. The school bus was found abandoned, the engine cold, its doors wide open, but the truth of what happened that night remains locked away in the shadows. So if you ever find yourself on a dark, winding road in Haiti, be careful. The village might still be waiting.